Hi, Elise here at Bowman Library with a whole new middle grade book spotlight. So our theme for this week, we are exploring inner artists. What does that mean? We have some books that we're looking at that are either about main characters that art plays a huge role in their life, or we have some nonfiction books as well to help you explore maybe becoming a little inner artist of yourself. Now, when I think of inner artists, I think of either the appreciation that you have for art, because that's a skill too, or it can be something that it just makes your brain think differently, that you're creative. Like art doesn't just have to be painting and drawing. It can be cooking, it can be photography, it can be video game design. Anything that makes your brain think differently and in a creative way, that's art. So we have 6 books we're going to take a look at, so let's get started. Our first one is Many Points of Me. Okay, so Georgia is getting ready to turn 12 years old. This is the birthday she has been looking forward to for as long as she can remember, but now when it's coming up on her, she just feels lost and adrift. Her esteemed modern artist father, who's been in museums all over the world, that was always her inspiration. He passed away 2 years previously, and since then, Georgia has been kind of at a loss on how to go on without him. Now, everything about her life, including her best friend Theo, always went back to art. That's what she thrived on. And now it's her turn at 12 years old to enter this art contest that she's been dreaming of entering forever. But she doesn't know if she can do it, especially without her dad. And then when she finds out what the theme is for the year, that it's a self-portrait, she's at this complete loss. She doesn't know where to start. So, hoping to gain some inspiration, she starts going through some of her dad's things that have been left behind in his art studio. And then she stumbles across the rough outline of a painting that he didn't get to finish. And she realizes that it was a self-portrait of her. But now she needs to figure out who she is without her father to finish what he started. This incredibly realistic look at art, it's not just about art. It's about, trying to navigate middle school and friendships and relationships and then, grieving for someone that you lost that was one of the most important people in your life. You will not be able to put this one down. There's a tearjerker at parts, but it is so good. This is Many Points of Me. Our next one is A Place at the Table. Okay, so when Elizabeth and Sarah find themselves in the same South Asian cooking class, they don't hit it off right away, but they each have their own worries on their mind. So first we have Elizabeth, and she's struggling with family life at home. Her British mother is always depressed. Her father is constantly away traveling for work, and it's going to be up to her to take care of her brothers at home, all while her best friend is trying to replace her with someone else. And then we meet Sarah, who is Pakistani American, and she's going to be attending public school for the first time, going into 6th grade, which is tough to begin with. She's leaving all of her friends at the small private Islamic school that she attended all through elementary school. She's worried about her family's finances, and she's tired of people always making fun of her and her culture. Now, when Elizabeth and Sarah are partnered up to create a recipe for their school's cooking contest, they start this tentative friendship that is incredibly realistic. There are many bumps in the road, complete with Elizabeth at first not sticking up for Sarah when her best friend starts to make fun of her, but they soon start to find they have more in common than what they might have thought at first, including a love for cooking and a love for their family. This realistic look at friendship and what it means to be a friend to one another is eye-opening, and it may help you look at things differently. And again, there are some cooking aspects in it, which is, maybe inspire you to maybe start cooking up some things of your own. This is A Place at the Table. The space between lost and found. Okay, so 12-year-old Cassie is having a hard time coping and accepting the changes with her mother. Now, just a few years earlier, Cassie's mom was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's, which makes her to start forget things. And she's starting to get to the point where there are days she cannot remember Cassie's name or what she likes to eat, but then she can remember a song that she heard on the radio 5 years ago. And Cassie doesn't know how to deal with this. Now, her outlet had always been art, but that hasn't been able to happen with all of this because Cassie's dad, who's kind of in denial, himself about everything that's going on. He decides the best way to handle this is just to keep Cassie's mom inside and to keep it a secret. Which makes it difficult for Cassie. Like, she doesn't know how to explain this to her best friend. She can't do any of her art stuff because her mom would take her to that. Like, how do you explain she's doing this without her mom when she can't share any of this? And it just builds up inside. Now, one day, Cassie's mom has a particularly rough day. And Cassie decides she wants to do something for and with her mom before it can be completely forgotten. And there's one thing she's always known that her mom has wanted to do, and that was swim with dolphins. And from there, this will turn into the adventure of a lifetime for everyone involved. Now, this book does address the tough topic of Alzheimer's, how it affects families, and it's handled in a way that is eye-opening or relatable depending on your circumstance or maybe someone you know. Highly recommend this. This is the space between lost and found. Okay, Fine Art Adventures. Okay, so this is a nonfiction book. If you want to try your hand at making some of your own art, not just drawing and painting, there's other things in here. There's even collage, there's sculpture, there's all different things. What this book is it takes you in some different project ideas that are inspired by 36 of some of the most famous artwork pieces in history. Now, each one's again inspired by a different type of art, maybe even the artist, the type of art that person did. You will learn about that work, you'll learn about the different techniques. There's different chapters. Each chapter is focused on like a different type of art or inspiration, like anything from landscapes or portraits. There's even a legends and myth ones. If you love mythology, there's an object one. There's something for everyone depending on what your inspiration or what you're into when it comes to art. Now, I will again remind you, not everything is done on paper, so I highly encourage you, if you want to try your hand at something new, you need some inspiration, maybe some guidance to get you started, this is a great choice. This is Fine Art Adventures. Okay, a classic. This is from the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankenweiler. So, 12-year-old Claudia does not feel appreciated at home. There's a bunch of younger siblings she's kind of forgotten about, and in fact, most of the time she feels invisible. And if she went missing, no one would know or even care. So she decides she's going to teach everyone a lesson, and she's going to run away from home. Here's the plan. She's going to run away, and she's going to live at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. And there, she's going to be there with her brother Jamie, because, and here's the only reason why she's bringing Jamie with her, she knows he has saved a lot of his allowance and she's probably going to need some money at some time. So when the two of them get to the museum and they enact their plan, at first everything goes according to it. It's fun and exciting. They have roam of the museum, nothing's stopping them. There's no adults. They're left up to their own devices. But after a while, Claudia doesn't feel any different than she thought she would. But as she's wandering the museum at night, she starts to notice things. And she comes across this statue. And as she's looking at this statue, it starts to bring up more questions than answers. And Claudia decides she is not going home until she figures out what the deal is with this statue. Where did it come from? Who made it? But these are all things that the museum professionals, the experts, they don't even know and they can't figure out. So this is part mystery, part art history, part figuring out who you are, even when you feel invisible. This is a classic. It's a must read. You will find yourself along with this journey with Claudia and Jamie. You'll find yourself wondering, hey, would I like to live, in an art museum? This is all about figuring that out. It's a great read. This is from the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler. And our last one for today is a history of pictures for children. So this started as an adult book. It has now been transmorphed into one for us. And what I love about this is this will take you through the history of art, starting all the way back at the cave drawings. And you will learn about the different techniques, technology, skills, periods in art, the artists. You will learn how to appreciate all those things and more, and how to look at art in different ways. Now, this author doesn't just leave it again to what's on canvas. They dive into technology such as graphic design and video games. And this is a great place to start if you want to learn more about art history, art appreciation, and then all of the thinking and the planning that goes into a masterpiece. Because, well, sometimes it just happens, many times, It doesn't. It takes way more planning than anyone could ever imagine or think of. This is a history of pictures for children. So these are just 6 of the books that we have here at the library that explore our inner artists. Whether it's a fiction book and it's like them doing art to get us inspired, or we have some great nonfiction as well that will get you doing your own art, get you inspired, get you learning about some of the most amazing pieces that have ever been produced. So I encourage you to come out, check out some of these, or we do have others that we will gladly help you find so you have that perfect read. I hope you tune back next week when you have a whole new middle grade book spotlight, and have a great week.